It's the last Christmas before the election and the government has a gift, a budget deficit. But unlike those presents you instantly forget about, you'll be using this one for an estimated 10 years.
If Christmas is about one thing, it's this.
Unavoidable spending, unavoidable spending, unavoidable spending.
But also a little bit of this.
Urgent, unavoidable, automatic spending.
And that's what the season is all about. A Lego set here, some festive socks there, and pretty soon you've dropped $8.8 billion on stocking stuffers like medicine, infrastructure projects and indexation increases.
And that overwhelmingly explains the spending that you're seeing here.
The Treasurer and Finance Minister fronted the press for the annual MYEFO update. MYEFO, of course, standing for Merry Yuletide Excessive Funds Owing.
The mid-year economic and fiscal outlook.
Yes, that too. The point is the news was not ideal, because while the government boasted that
The budget position is $200 billion better off compared to what it was under the Liberal government.
Australia is nevertheless staring down the barrel of a $27 billion deficit, with forecasts suggesting we won't be back in the black for a decade. The government placing the blame on high interest rates, cost of living pressures and global uncertainty.
Today's budget update has highlighted the enormous cost that Australians would have to pay for another 3 years of Labor.
The prospect of another 3 years looking increasingly shaky, with Labor this week seeing the worst poll number it's had since entering government, with 50% disapproving of the PM and only 39% approving. We thought we'd check those figures, so we took to the street to ask how do people feel about the government.
Definitely disapprove.
I think based on the cost of living, they're doing a good job.
I think there's no right or wrong answer to that question.
With the next election on the horizon, we're going to be seeing a lot of polls like this. So how do people feel about polls?
I don't have a problem with polls.
I think we need polls.
I don't even know what a political poll is.
Sorry, doing a poll about polls was a bit meta. How do people feel about me going a bit meta?
I think it's just a bit of bullshit, to be honest.
Fair enough. So, does today's forecast simply confirm this is Labor's last Christmas in surplus or its last year in power?
Well, here to help us read the tea leaves is news.com.au's political editor, Sam Maiden. Sam, first there was the polls, now we've got this deficit. How bad is all this for Albo?
Look, it's not the end of the world. I mean, we knew there was going to be a deficit for the next couple of years. It just got a little bigger. That's the only problem. So it's $21 billion consecutively over, cumulatively over the 4 years. It's more than expected. But we did know there was going to be a deficit.
What do you attribute this seeming decline in the PM's popularity to? Like, has there been a particular moment?
Look, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it would be pure speculation on my part. I think the bottom line is it has been a tough couple of years because of rising interest rates, because of inflation. Obviously, there were some big picture items that Anthony Albanese wanted to land, like the voice, that didn't happen. So I suspect that there's a bit of buyer's remorse out there. But in terms of like approval or disapproval, what people say in polls doesn't matter. What matters is how they vote. So it's the primary and, of course, the two-party preferred vote. You would have to say on whatever poll you want to pick up right now, the Prime Minister is not going to get back in with a majority. He'll have to go back down to minority government and govern with independents. And it is possible that Peter Dutton could do the same, or it's possible that Peter Dutton could win, but it's a much higher mountain to climb because he needs about 20 seats to actually form government in his own right. And depending on what poll you look at right now, he's only on around 10 extra seats. So he's well short of being able to win. But, you've got to be in it to win it. There's still time for Peter Dutton to go all the way.
Sam, normally the guy in this chair understands economics, but if we can just pretend for a second that the guy currently in it doesn't, what does a deficit actually, and an increasing deficit, mean for people watching this?
Well, what it means is that we have to service that debt, and that means that along the line they're going to have to either look for spending cuts, which the government doesn't seem to be that keen on. They've actually squirreled away another $5.5 billion to spend on decisions made or not yet announced, obviously election goodies. But sooner or later, we've got to pay for it. And so that's basically what it means. And, there are things that they can cut and there's things that they argue that they can't cut. And so unless they're going to put up taxes, we've got to pay that debt sooner or later.
Sam, now we're all hanging out for summer holidays, me more than most, but in Canberra today, journo and friend of the show, Shane Wright, we love him. I think he was calling it early a bit with this get-up. What do you think? Is that okay?
Incredible. Look, I saw it and I thought, it was David Attenborough, and here in the wild, the economics correspondents with their incredible plumage from the MyEFO, the mid-year financial expert. Look, I texted him afterwards and I did say, Shane, what the hell?
Yeah.
And he explained to me that he always puts on a Hawaiian shirt after the final RBA meeting for the year. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And this is a particularly special one because it has a Star Wars theme. Apparently there's some reference to a movie called Rogue One. I've never heard of it, but maybe you have. But he looks incredible.
And who said economists don't have fun?
They're crazy. They're crazy.
Exactly.
They do. Sam, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.